Good morning, Sam. How are you today?
I'm very well, Sandra. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. And it's a lovely to have you on today. If anybody watching today, Sam and I met in networking in London, actually, didn't we? And I was really intrigued about talking to Sam about her business and around mortgages, especially for the younger generation. So I've invited Sam on today. So Sam, you started My Mortgage Angel 2016. Have I got that right?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on this show, Sandra. I really appreciate it. Yes, my business was born completely coincidentally on the day that Brexit announcement was made, the decision was made. It's the 24th of June, 2016. And also that would have been my late nan's birthday. And she's the angel influence in my business. So I think kind of the stars all just aligned and it just happened for a reason.
Brilliant. That's really good. That's excellent. And you've won awards as well. I read on your page. And also, which I can say, I've seen you have a love of quirky shoes and you had some amazing shoes when I met you.
I am a bit of a fan of irregular choice shoes. Yes, we'll go through my collection one day, Sandra.
Yes, definitely. I do love shoes, but probably not as much as you, but your shoes are amazing.
Thank you.
So thanks for being on today. And as I said earlier, how we approach mortgages now for younger people that might be leaving uni or they might have been working. So it'd just be really good to talk to you about how you see the generations, whether saving for mortgages or what they could do to help really to get on the ladder if they want to, because not everybody wants to get on the ladder, but talk that through and just get your view really, because when we talked to you, you had some amazing advice and tips and stuff. So I suppose if there's anybody listening, Sam, what do you think if you were looking to get a mortgage and you were like, I'm not sure how I'm ever going to be able to afford that? What would be your words of wisdom, I suppose?
So I have to say that's probably about 90% of the clients, the way my conversations start with clients. They all come to me with, I don't know where to start. I think fundamentally we've got a bit of a gap in teaching in the UK. My 14-year-old son recently brought home some mortgage homework and he said, Mummy, you need to help me. And I went through it and I was like, well, you don't do it like that. You don't do it like that, Dad. And then I thought, no, I need to step back. So fundamentally, a mortgage is just a massive loan secured against a property. So it allows you to buy a home or an investment property. But generally, people that are watching this at the moment are looking to buy maybe their first or their second home. So it's just a big loan that facilitates that. Hundreds of lenders out there in the UK. So it's really about matching. And I think that's my job, is to match the lender's requirements with the client's requirements, because otherwise there's so much choice. I don't really know how you're supposed to work it out on your own unless you've got the access to all the systems, done all the qualifications. I'm not sure how to do it, but there's lots of schemes out there at the moment where you might not need any deposit at all. You might need a £5,000 deposit. You might need a 5% deposit. Depending on the type of property you're buying or your credit score, you might need a 10 or a 15% deposit. So really, I think my basic advice to start with is just talk to an expert. Understand what your options are, because one size does not fit all when it comes to mortgages. I don't think it does when it comes to dresses either, but they still continue in that it does.
That's really good advice, actually, isn't it? Because we listen to other people, don't we? And we listen and we think, oh, that's us. But actually, like you say, if you go and talk to somebody about your own circumstances and what that means to you, what would fit for me would potentially be very different to, say, somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do hear a lot of my mum said, or my friend said, to which I say, okay, bring them to the meeting. Let's talk about it all together, because unless they're a mortgage advisor with current knowledge, it might be that they just need a little bit of updating of what's available now. For example, the maximum mortgage term now, generally the maximum mortgage term, because there are lots of lenders and all lenders change their criteria quite a lot. But generally, the longest mortgage you can get now is 40 years.
Really?
Now, certainly when my parents started, it was
Wow.
only 25 years.
When I had my first mortgage, it was 25 years, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think if my first mortgage was only 25 years as well. Now, that term might be really suitable for you, but at sometimes taking it over a longer term, sometimes you can borrow a bit more money, which maybe gets you into that house instead of a flat, or gets you that extra bedroom and saves you moving quite so quickly in the future, or gets you a better area. And sometimes a shorter, more, I mean, obviously the shorter term that you borrow money over is going to be more cost efficient overall, but it's about your situations. Anything I say today is just general advice. There's no specifics here,
Yes.
but yeah, do check out what's right for you, and if you're thinking about it, and make a plan. Talk to somebody. I'm really happy to talk to people like 5 years before they want to buy a property, because there's things that you can do. How do you know how much deposit you need until you've run the calculations and you've worked it out? I do quite a lot of events, like maybe wedding shows or even careers sessions with people in that space. And a lot of people will say, "Oh no, I don't want to talk to you now. I'm too busy saving." I'm like, "But how do you know how much you need to save?"
That is really good. That's quite interesting. That so you could be, say, what any age really, thinking at some point maybe you do want to get on the property ladder, but actually to we could be squirreling money away in different things. But like you say, we don't actually know how much we need. And I know the market and everything can change, but
Yeah.
to have that conversation with somebody like yourself, it could be a lot clearer instead of sort of almost doing what we feel is the right thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that plan, I'm a planner myself, and that's my comfort zone. And I think your clients gravitate towards you, don't they? And we tend to have a similar mindset. If I know my target is X, I'm going to get there a lot quicker than, oh, I think I need to save. And the media are fantastic, but there's a lot of scary stories out there. And very often we see headlines of it's impossible or it's really difficult to get on the ladder. Yes, it is for some people, but for other people, when they come to talk to me, actually they're ready right now rather than thinking that they're not even going to be ready for another couple of years. And yeah, I'd say just talk to somebody early. So things that you need to consider. So the deposit that you need, you can get a rough estimate of that when you know how much of a property you want to buy. So even base it on now. Okay, I'm looking for a 2-bed property in this area. Today, that's how much it's going to cost. You know how much you're earning, or you know how much you want to be earning or expected to be earning in the job that you're going for. And how much you can borrow on a mortgage is based on how much you earn, less your fixed outgoings. So we can forecast these things. Okay, if you're earning X and your debts are Y, then this is how much mortgage you can take. This is how much deposit you'd need in this situation. And I think that gives you a really clear picture of, I need to earn more than that, or I need a bigger deposit than that, or I need to restructure my debts and maybe think about paying some things off first. Actually, there's this misconception that you can't have any debt at all when you take a mortgage. That is true for some people, but for other people, some lenders, and many lenders now actually factor in that you can have a certain amount of debt payments per month, like credit cards or car finance or student loans, pension contributions, things like that. They kind of build that in as part of normal life now. Just goes, I'm going to sound like a broken record. It goes back to that personal advice. What's right for your situation to get a plan?
And do you have people that come to you that might be, or like you say, you go to career fairs, etc. A bit like you say, I don't want to talk to you because I can't afford it and I can't think ahead. And then actually, when they have the conversation, it sort of clears it a bit for them, so they know what to expect. Like you say, parents might have that advice. We grew up in a different time, and it was very different, wasn't it, to what it is today?
Yeah, definitely. I was speaking to a lovely single mum very recently, and she was very nervous, didn't know what to expect, didn't really want to speak to a professional because she was scared. But I think you've met me, Sandra, you know, I'm not really your typical professional. Yes, I know my stuff, but I will wear quirky shoes and I don't wear suits. And I like to be approachable because I don't want
Yes.
anyone to feel that any question is too silly. You only know what you know. But by the end of the meeting with her, an hour in, she just felt so much more confident that she had a
Yes.
plan. And actually, it was only a 2-year plan. Some people I work
Wow.
with, and it's a 5-year plan. Some people, actually, they're ready, like I've said earlier, they're ready right now, and they thought they were maybe 2 years away. So don't be scared to reach out to somebody. Just have that chat. Even just say to them, look, I'm not looking to buy right now, but I want to get a plan in place. And then, if they're not the right advisor for you, if they're only about, no, I'm only ready to talk to you once you've found a property and you've got your deposit, then they might not be the right advisor for you. So, there's hundreds of advisors out there, and we all do different things and we all help different people. So find that person that you trust, because you've got to give me lots of personal information. You've got to trust me that I'm going to do my best for you, but also I've got to trust you to know that you're going to tell me everything that I need to know, so we don't get caught out down the line. So I think it's quite good to get that relationship off on the first foot,
Mhm.
on the right terms. And so just be clear with your intentions of what you're looking for.
Yeah. And I like that advice that, like you say, there are lots of different people out there, and it's finding that person that's right for you, that right person that could plan it for you if that's the situation you're in at the moment where you want to look ahead.
Definitely. And we all have access to different options. So some brokers are whole of market, some are restricted. I get a lot of people, again, at these wedding fairs and things like that will say, oh, I just went to my bank. And great, that serves a real purpose. And many people are very happy and very comfortable with that. We've got some software and I love this software. One day I'll show it to you, Sandra. But what we do is we put in your income, your expenses, your situation. Is kind of like a proper fact find situation. But then what it does is it takes all your figures and it fires it out to about 35 different lenders' websites. It uses their affordability calculators and it pulls the results all back in one place. And then my clients can see really visually on the screen, because we do a lot of Zoom appointments because, since COVID, nobody seems to
Yeah.
want to travel anymore. So, and you can see really visually, and we go through it together. Okay, this bank will lend you this amount of money, but actually this bank will lend you this amount of money. And if you've gone to your bank at the high street, wherever they are on that chart, they're never going to say, do you know what, if you go down the road, they're going to lend you more or a better rate, or they're happy with that particular part of the criteria that you don't satisfy with that bank. So I think using a broker is invaluable in terms of broader knowledge. And let me just dispel something about using a broker.
Okay.
It's the same, very often it's the same rate that you can get if you use a broker versus going to the bank directly.
That's good.
So
Yes.
people often think, oh, it's going to cost me more money if I go to a broker. Generally, and we're recording this on the 20th of August 2025 for compliance purposes. Generally, lenders pay us a commission, which is basically equivalent to what they would have paid their own staff to do the compliance that we've done for. So we have to check all the documents, we have to upload them all to the system. And then many banks now use a lot of automated processing so that they've got minimal impact. So it saves them money, which is where the money comes from for them to pay us some commission. So I think that's really interesting to understand.
That is very interesting, and I didn't realise that. And again, going back to, we can all be very different. You're going to find the best thing that fits me, and I might be like looking for, say, £100,000 mortgage, but it's 112. So there's all those different options, isn't there? Instead of just having that one, probably. I mean, maybe that's just me with how I've purchased houses. You sort of think, right, that's what I can afford, and that you don't really think sort of outside the box.
Yeah. And also it's about that longer term planning. Okay, yes, this is where I want this. This is my dream for now. This is my goal. Okay, but where are you going to be in the future? If you're maybe planning to go self-employed in the future or contracting or something like that, what you don't want is to put yourself in a mortgage that then the rate ends when you're in the middle of being able to prove your income for the next step, and then you can kind of get stuck in a mortgage. So just have a conversation and talk about your plan. Think about your plan. When are you planning to have children? Maybe when are you thinking about retiring? All of those things, and naturally they just come out in a conversation, and it sparks that thought, and it can very much guide you down one path or another, and it can save you an absolute fortune if you get that path right to start with. That's kind of why I ended up in mortgages myself, When we bought our first house, we had an excellent mortgage advisor who gave us some really, really quality advice. I won't go into all the details now, but essentially, he did a really good job for us, and he got 2 mortgages out of us in really quick succession. It was great advice for us. It saved us a fortune, but actually earned him quite a lot of money as well. It made me think, hang on a minute, I'm really interested in this. So I then went and studied myself to learn all about this, and then qualified many, many years before I actually started doing this, just because I was interested in it personally. When the moment came to, okay, I need to be self-employed, what do I do? It was just a no-brainer of this is what I should have been doing since I left school, really.
Yeah. Brilliant. I love. Well, you love found what you love doing by the sounds of it, which is absolutely brilliant.
47 years old and I found my job.
Well, I think a lot of people are still looking, Sam. So I think you've done well.
Yeah. But you see, all the pressure with children leaving school or university, there's this pressure to, what's your career? Where are you going to be in 5 years'
I know.
time? Do you know what? Just do what you enjoy. And so study the exams that are going to be right for you. Because if you enjoy something, jobs, my children are probably going to do jobs that haven't even been invented yet. So
Exactly. Yeah.
you cannot give them advice on what careers they're going to be doing. Just follow your dream. If you're happy in your job, it doesn't feel like working, in my opinion.
I agree. When I started out in the world, we had them old-fashioned typewriters. Now I can do everything on on a phone.
Yeah,
Instead of a massive great typewriter. So things change, don't they? You don't know. We've got AI. So many different things. So that's really great advice. I love that. I absolutely love that. And just going with the mortgage part. So if people that are listening are looking for a mortgage broker, is there something, because I know you've got like rigorous qualifications and stuff, is there something that they should look for to make sure that that person is accredited, that they have those qualifications?
Okay, sure. So, yes, we all have to pass exams to be qualified mortgage advisors, and then we have to be regulated. So, brokers can either be regulated through a network, which is what I choose, or you can be regulated directly with the FCA. But some point, the FCA at the moment in 2025 has jurisdiction over us, and we have to be regulated to be able to register with a lender to do business with them. We have to be regulated and registered with FCA. So really, I don't think in this day and age, I don't think there's anybody that's going to be offering mortgage advice that isn't qualified and regulated, because you can't transact. You can't actually do the work. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Brilliant. That's lovely. And at the very beginning, you talked about credit score. So is that something that young people, or any generation, is that something you need to be aware of? Or is that the discussion you have with them? So how does that work?
So right at the beginning, so if someone comes to me and says, right, okay, I want a plan, I want to buy a property in 2 years, I want a plan. So we will look at their income and look at where it is now, where it needs to be to get them to where they want to be, so that they've got that plan of what they need to earn. We look at their outgoings. How much are you spending on credit cards, and what's your daily living costs like? How much is your car loan? How much is your student loan? What's your pension contributions? Things like that, to see where that should sit in the future if it needs changing. We're looking at your bank account conduct. So when you apply for a mortgage, you have to send the bank statements, and they are looking at these bank statements. So if you're making bank transfers, I mean, we've all done it in the past. You transfer money to a friend, money for this, money for that. If you say anything on there that might be classed as illegal, whilst it's funny, banks don't necessarily see it.
That's a really good point, actually.
Yes.
Yes.
So
Because you might have a bit of banter that you're transferring.
So just be cautious. Just before if you're thinking about a mortgage, just say to your friends, hey, come on, don't just change the name of that transfer to me. Just think about that. Think about what the lender's going to see when they look at your bank account. Are you using your overdraft? That's not necessarily seen as a favourable thing. If you can't manage your money without a mortgage, without using an overdraft, then it wouldn't be responsible lending to lend you money to put you in a debt situation where you potentially couldn't manage your money there.
Yeah.
Look at your overdraft usage. Any bounced payments and stuff like that, again, is going to be seen negatively. Other things we're looking at, potentially gambling.
Right. Okay.
maybe won the national lottery or the odd flutter here or there. But if you've got constant gambling going out of your bank account, lenders are going to be a little bit more hesitant to lend to. So we would say, look, just send us your bank statements. We'll go through them together and we'll just highlight your activity. There's probably lots of other things out there, but they're the general things that we would pick up on from a banking point of view. And then the credit score piece is actually really important. If you're a first-time buyer, generally your credit score isn't perfect anyway, because until you've got some kind of borrowing, lending, repayment history, then you've got no way to build up your credit score. So sometimes people need to go away and make changes with what they've done or what they're doing. Again, get that personal advice with where you're at right now before you go away and make any changes that you might not need to make. But definitely look out for missed payments or late payments. Certainly when I was in my younger years, mobile phones.
Yeah.
We changed mobile phone contracts, and certainly when I was at the beginning of my mobile phone journey, there would be a payment at the end of a contract that you didn't know about or you missed or you didn't think that was due. So you refuse to pay it. But what you don't realise is that can be registered as a default on your credit file and can stay with you for years, which can then impact your future mortgage options.
Wow. Wow. That's a really good bit of knowledge to know.
Yeah. So we don't even think about it. Or sometimes if you're managing a home or you're renting or something, and maybe there's a query with a water bill or any kind of utility bill, sometimes they'll say, oh, don't worry, now you've built up this huge gas bill. Actually, do you know what? We'll set it into payments for you. We'll do you a payment plan. But what they don't realise is actually, from a credit perspective, that's called an arrangement to pay. And that can then have negative impact on your future mortgage options for a good few years.
Right.
So keep an eye on your credit score. Get a professional to look at it with you. Sometimes 2 years before you want your mortgage, which is why I say it's never too early. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're a baby in nappies, I'm not talking to you. But if you're some savvy parents that want to be talking about this, okay, bring the 16-year-old kid along and talk about it all together. And you can help make that plan together. Sometimes parents want to be making savings and investments so that they can help their children in the future. You can just have that conversation with your child as well. And I just think that clarity of the plan and the discussion about your situation, it just opens your eyes to your options and possibilities. I think it makes things clearer.
So it's never too young to plan. Well, obviously, maybe if you're at primary school, but really what you're saying is that planning can make just such a difference instead of leaving it till the last minute. And then I suppose as well, when you go and you look for somewhere, because I do love watching Kirsten Phil, when they've got all their mortgages set up, they're ready to go, then you're in a better buying position, potentially.
Yeah.
I'm no expert, so I'll just put that caveat there. But, you know, but the planning bit, and you could be doing, even if you were coming out of university thinking, I've got all this, you know, I've got a lot of debt or I'm to go into work to pay stuff back. You could still be looking at this for your future and getting into those ways of, like you say, you save or how you spend, etc. And working on that quite early.
Absolutely.
Yeah, love that. That's brilliant. Is there anything else that you think is key that I haven't asked you?
I mean, there's probably lots of things that do come up, but when we're talking about kind of the early years and the first time buyers, really it's that planning to get that right, so that, like you say, when you go to look at the properties, because there's so much competition for properties now, you might be one of 10 people turning up on an open day to view a property. But if you turn up with your mortgage decision in principle ready and your solicitors already lined up, these people are going to treat you seriously. They're going to know they can trust you. And I think it puts you in a stronger position. You might be offering the same amount of money on the property as somebody that isn't in that position. I think this, just that little fraction ahead, just to have somebody on your side. But also I think we offer a kind of a coaching role as well, because we've been around quite a while now. We've helped a lot of people buy properties, and just to be that sounding board of, oh, Sam, I'm not sure. They're saying this to me. Is that right? We've worked with people who necessarily English might not be their first language. Just to be able to say, oh, hang on, I think this is what they're saying. Does this make sense? I think that's a really valuable part of what we do. And I think it's often overlooked that we're not just here to talk about your mortgage. It's that rounded guidance of, you don't always want to ask your mum and dad these questions. I would always advocate talking to family and friends, but
Of course.
sometimes you want just that verification, don't you? I'm telling children stuff and they want to go out and get that verified from other people. So I like to offer that, like, kind of that second opinion as well.
Yeah, yeah. Because like you say, it's the planning, it's the more, but then actually even the house process, isn't it, is quite, you can be quite long, and to have somebody that you feel that you can talk to and ask questions and is invaluable, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's one of the best parts of my job. We've worked with clients for so many years. I was working with a client last night and I've been working with him since 2016. So that's 9 years we've been working together. We've gone through their plan. I think they're on their third purchase now. It's just so lovely to see. And every time I get that email of, Sam, I've just picked up the keys, I'm like, my heart just sings because I've helped that happen. Don't get me wrong, every day is not like that. But in the end, when you help people get to where they want to be, that's just the best feeling in any job. Is success for me is why we all do it, to make things clear and easier along the way.
Yeah, and it's great. I remember getting the keys to my first house, and yeah, it's special, isn't it? My first house was in the late 80s when the interest rates were like, I think the highest I don't think they've ever been that high. And I do look back and think, I don't know how we managed to do it, but
But that's a
probably the
really
help of
interesting
family and
point.
friends and stuff, you know.
That's it. That's a really interesting point, Sandra, because interest rates do fluctuate and many people will say, well, when's the right time to buy? And yes, I'm sure there's a financial algorithm that will tell you exactly the right time to buy, but none of us have a crystal ball. So long as you can afford the mortgage payments and you are comfortable. So very much our advice is your head and your heart need to match. Your head will be the numbers, but your heart will be, does this feel right? Is this the right property for me?
Yeah.
Should I be taking a 5-year fixed rate or should I be looking at a tracker rate with what's going on? And everybody feels so differently about debt, about money, about where they're going to live. That's where the heart piece really comes in. And I don't ever want anyone to ignore that. So I think the right time to buy is when it feels right for you. If it's affordable, then
Yes.
why wait? Especially if you're in a dangerous situation or you're in an unsafe space, just because the experts say in 6 months' time rates are going to drop, why would you leave yourself in that vulnerable situation just because you might save yourselves a few pennies in the future? So it's that balanced approach.
Balance, and they do go up and down. I mean, you say, I've said, like, I had my first mortgage in the late 80s, and it's gone up and down, and up, and crashes and up. Like you say, it's that planning, isn't it? Which is the right mortgage? Should we be on that fixed rate for 5 years, where it then feels right? This feels right. Heart and head knows we're in the right place. We can afford to do this, and so yeah, it's really, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. So brilliant talking to you today, Sam, and I'll put your contact details in the description as well. But I hope
Thank you.
people have found that really useful. Yeah, I wish I'd have had advice like that when I was younger.
So lovely to chat with you, Sandra, and I'm
And
a
you.
huge fan of what you do. So keep up the good
Thank
work.
you.
Thank you for
Yeah.
this, and I will catch up with you again soon.
Yeah, brilliant. Speak to you soon. Thank you. See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
If you like the video, make sure to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any future uploads of Career Voices.